basically, I came into fostering originally about 10 years ago, and I did get as far as panel stage, and I actually decided it wasn't for me at the time, because everything around me just wasn't sort of like gelling together. However, then COVID happened, and I run fostering alongside another job, so I do actually work full-time as well. And during lockdown, I worked all the way through, and I was doing feeding projects, etc. And obviously I could see what was happening to our children. And it just woke up what I needed to do, which was to go back into fostering. And I obviously went in, filled out all the forms, etc., went through everything, and this is where I am now. So that's the reason why I am here with you now. Firstly, when you go into fostering, you're issued, I don't know if that's the right word, but you're given a foster buddy. And my foster buddy is just like a fountain of information, and has seen me through so many different things which I've had to sort of like try and step over. So that was a good thing. Obviously there's always support from the family placement team as well, so you can contact them anytime. I found that my first two children that I had to use them. In fact, the very, very first one, I was dropped right in the deep end, and obviously that was the first place I went to. So it was nice being able to speak to somebody at the end of the phone and saying what your experience of what had happened to you with your child. And obviously it was quite a daunting experience at the time. So as I said, it was nice that they were there, and I was able to like keep on talking to them because they knew that I was new as well. There was also a mobile number that you can get hold of as well, and they would always contact you in between as well. So you weren't just sort of like left to your own devices to sort of try and cope with the situation that you were in. There was always somebody there. Again, my supervising supervisors, so I don't know if I'm allowed to say names. So she was very old school. She's only just retired, actually. And again, another fountain of information. And I could always pick up the phone to her. And various children that I've had, obviously she's been there all the way through for me. So I would say very supportive. So all good. Right, training standards. Right. So this is something that every foster carer has to do, and it was drummed into me, the importance of it. It was quite easy to get around once you knew how, but I was lucky because I had my foster buddy to lean on, and also my supervising social worker at the time. So every meeting that I had with Lynn was always a reminder that the training had to be completed. And obviously it's better you get it over and done with straight away, and then you don't have to worry about it because it is important. So as I said, once you get your head around, it really is quite easy. But it's just sort of looking through everything and just asking questions about everything as well, because it's not necessarily, if you don't understand something, obviously it's easy to like speak to someone and get an answer or response back, and it's explained in a better way to make it easier for you. But I can't say how important it is. And as I said, for me, it was drummed into me right from the very start until it was completed. I managed to get mine sorted through my first year, so it was all good. So for me, I've looked after quite a few children because I first come on board as a respite carer. And for me, it was nice because I got to meet different children. because they're all different and unique. And you build on your experience from each child as well. So even though I've been doing it, a relatively short time, the amount of children that have passed under my roof is quite a few now. So my first child I had, I would say was challenging, but also rewarding. So you basically have to take the rough with the smooth. You know, it's not always going to be icing topped. There are going to be ups and downs, but on the turn of that, you do see other sides of the kids as well. I mean, even right down to my present placement now, or my present child now, in the almost 2 years that I've known him, he's gone from a child that doesn't like to be touched to now he is so open, like to give a hug, and that's what makes it for me. It just brightens your day when a looked after child, sees things in a different way to how they have seen it, and a more promising way. So it's just really nice. It's a lovely job to do. Love it to pieces. You don't, until you're doing it, you do not know what to expect. Mm-hmm. So, and that's not necessarily bad, because obviously there's lots of things that we have to do that we don't know what we're walking into. So I think you need to be open-minded. I really, really wish now that when I first went into it 10 years ago that I'd done it back then. So I would say I probably wasted a little bit of time in between. If I look back now, I think that I really could have done it and wish I had, because it is so sort of like rewarding and satisfying, like to help these children. Yes, so the assessment process for me, again, it was fine for me. However, I think you all need to realise how deep they delve into your personal life, like everything around you. I don't think there's anything to be scared of, as long as you've got nothing to hide. But it is, I mean, they want to know your knicker size, okay? So it's as deep as that. But it's not something that should put you off of what you want to do, because once you're through it, you will look back and think, that wasn't much to go through in the end. So you will come through it, so you will be fine. When I actually went to panel, I would say I wasn't nervous about going to panel, because I'm always happy to speak to people. I think it was the not knowing what kind of questions they were going to ask. But again, it's not anything to be scared of, because they're only going to be asking you questions that you have put into your, when your report is built up on you. That's what they're going to be asking you. And they're only trying to work out whether it's right and which child would be placed with you, and like your circumstances. So for me, because I work full time as well, so they wanted to know how I was going to run a full-time job and look after foster children as well at the same time. But obviously in the real world, obviously people do this all the time, and I have jumped over every obstacle that's been put in my way, and I am very happily fostering full-time now, as well as running my job, and it is a good thing to be doing. What makes a good foster carer? You need to be passionate in what you do. You need to be mindful of the different experiences that all of these children would have gone through. Taken on board you know, what they've got in their minds. And sometimes when they sort of like clam up and they don't want to let anything out, it's just trying to find ways to like to communicate with them, and like doing stuff with them. You need to be loving, caring, and just really love what you do. So you can pass that on, how you feel, onto that child. And then obviously you will be rewarded from what the child will give back. It might not necessarily be straight away, but it really truly is rewarding once you've sort of like got them on side, sort of thing, and they can actually see that, you know, you do care about them. So you need to keep on telling them that you do care, because they will keep on pushing and pushing and pushing you away. But you just need to keep on like pushing forward to show them how much you care. So I'm actually a single foster parent, and obviously there's a myth that you can't do it by yourself. Yes, you can. I'm very lucky because I have a very supportive family and friendship group. So whatever I do, they do too. I mean, at the moment, my mum is massive with my young person, and he's gone from just calling her by her first name to now he calls her Nanny Apple, which again is like really big. So I've got support from people like my mother, for instance, my sisters. I work full time. I'm very lucky because my workplace is very flexible with what I do as well, to the extent so I'm able to give him work experience, which is all part of his getting ready for independence. So you definitely can do this by yourself, a single person. You know, don't be like scared off of not doing it, because you can. Don't let any obstacles get in your way, just do it. So one of my first children did go AWOL. He was meant to be with me for a week, and I have to say it was one of the scariest times, knowing that a child is supposed to be in your care and refusing to come back to your house because there was a boundary put in place. And obviously he didn't like that boundary, so he decided to go AWOL. The fact that he was living on benches and like sofa surfing for a week. But on the turn of that, as a foster carer, I knew exactly where that child was, where he was, who he was with, what he was doing. But that doesn't stop like the sleepless nights, because you're not able to sleep through all of it. So it's tough, really, really tough. But again, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as long as you go through all the like your support. So with the family placement team, your supervising social worker, as I said, that you're following all the policies and stuff. Everything's fine, and you will get there. And 9 times out of 10, you end up with your child back nice and safe, and you know nothing sort of like major has happened. But it is scary, and it is hard to sort of like swallow when a child is going through that kind of thing. Fostering is what I expected. It is and it isn't. Because I don't think you can actually know until you actually go through it what fostering is actually going to be like for you. So I think that each foster carer experiences different things. So if I was speaking to somebody else coming into fostering, I can't answer that question as such, because what has happened to me is going to be totally different for you. But that's not a bad thing. Go in open-minded and be prepared to take on board what is around you, because it might not be perfect.